on. Oh, I'm wondering. There's one online. It could be duplicate. So she has a copy of this? Okay, yeah. We'll make a copy. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. It is 8:04, and we have counted about 30 people in the room. We've got a few online. We have quorum. Our quorum is 36. We are going to start. We have a lot to get through. We are going to be starting with resolution number 2. And I will remind people the standing rules, and I'm going to be a little more militant about the 2 minutes. I'm going to set my timer and try to remember to set it for each speaker. I'm not trying to cut anyone off, but I am trying to hurry people up. So hopefully we can get through all of the business we have today. So we'll get into it in just a second. And as people are coming in, Minister Fisher, if you said you wanted to mention something, you can.
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to share something that I should have shared yesterday. So this is a good news story. So our Ministry of Education were the successful applicants of $13.5 million from the Ministry of Education and Childcare for the creation of new childcare spaces for 5 projects across British Columbia. I just wanted you guys to know.
Thank you for that wonderful news. Okay, perfect. So we are going to start with resolution 2. And we will read it out. It should be on the screen. It's also on page 87 of your book. And we will start with the reading of Resolution 2.
Good morning. The subject of the Resolution 2, by-elections, current board members. Be it resolved that the language in the Electoral Act be amended to codify the rules and procedures around board members being active candidates in by-elections for the MNBC Board of Directors as follows. In the Electoral Act, insert in Article 3 a definition of board member. A, board member means a person that currently holds a position on the MNBC Board of Directors. B, rearrange the definitions listed under Article 3 to be in alphabetical order. Amend Article 8.6 as follows. Insert sub-article A. A, if a current board member wishes to stand as a candidate in a by-election, they must resign their current position of the Board of Directors at the date the election is announced.
Thank you very much. I am looking for a mover and a seconder for this resolution to get it before the Assembly. Do we have someone wishing to move and second? Please introduce yourself.
Hello.
Yeah.
Monica Fisher, Columbia Valley Métis. I will move this motion.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Seconder?
Good morning, Paulette Flamond. I will second that.
Thank you. So, as with yesterday, please approach one of the microphones if you are in the room. If you are online, you can use the hand raise function. This resolution is now open for discussion. And I believe I see Ms. McVeigh approaching the microphone, so the chair recognizes the speaker to my left.
This is just for a point of clarification. Could I just ask for clarification as to whether or not board members are considered to be employees?
Thank you. I will turn it to Mr. Beaker.
Thank you. They are not.
So, is there anyone else wishing to discuss or raise any comments or about Resolution 2? I see a speaker. I recognize the speaker to my left.
Walter Manault. I'm just wondering, with this clause, would that still open it up for another by-election? Because you're not announcing it, you're not announcing your resignation until the election is called. So by then, wouldn't it be too late to run another by-election for that position? So wouldn't it defeat the whole purpose?
Mr. Beaker?
If the text of the resolution could be on the screen, be moved down to the bottom of it, yes. So, thank you for your clarification question, Vice President Mnga. The article is phrased that they resign their current position on the board of directors at the date the election is announced. As you know, the MNGA sets the date of an election and a by-election. So the date that the MNGA announces the by-election, that is when a board member would have to resign their position to run for a different one, so that when the chief electoral officer issues the writ of election, we can then capture any other vacant seats that might have come up for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Sorry, just to clarify, that language at the end of the sub-article was amended at the MNGA after discussion around that to make sure that we just don't have a cascading effect of by-elections. If there is a resignation, we want to capture them at once should a board member choose to run for a different position.
Thank you, Mr. Beaker. I'm inviting any further discussion. I'm just going to look online if there's any hands. I'm not seeing any. I'm not seeing anyone else approaching. I am hearing question, and so we get to do our first vote of the morning. This is great. I hope everyone, please, has made sure that they picked up their voting device. If you don't have your voting device, please get it from the front or have it ready. And as with yesterday, there'll be three options. Those that wish to vote in favor, those that wish to oppose, and those that wish to abstain. And that vote is now open. And it's good we've got the virtual vote ongoing, so make sure if you're attending virtually to enter your vote as well. I see all, if not most, online currently have voted, so please make sure you enter your vote.
Thank you. We're going to keep the vote open so that people can get new devices. Mr. Hooper, is your device working now? That's great. Perfect.
Thank you.
I think it's just some opening jitters. I think we had that the same with the first vote yesterday. Hopefully this won't be an ongoing problem as we call other votes. So I think we'll give it a little bit more to see if anyone files in with the new device, and then we'll close the vote. I think we're good. Okay. If we could close the voting online and in the room, please. When you're ready. Okay, and nil. Okay. So, as you can see on the screen, we have 69 votes in favor in the room, 3 opposed, 1 abstention. Online, we had 12 in favor, no opposed, no abstentions, for a final count of 81 in favor, 3 opposed, and 1 abstention.
Thank you, Mr. Beaker. Resolution 2 passes. We are on to Resolution 5. This is the one that was moved ahead in the agenda. And I'll turn it over to Brent to read out resolution number 5. Now, just before, and we'll highlight this, this resolution involves a change to the Constitution. This will require a 75% vote of those cast to pass. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair. Resolution 5, MNGA meeting frequency. Whereas A, the Métis Nation is active and engaged in advancing Métis rights in British Columbia. B, a single annual meeting of the MNGA limits the capacity of members to discuss and amend proposed legislative and constitutional amendments amongst themselves and with the communities they represent. C, people are accustomed to virtual meetings as a means of conducting business. D, as per Article 29 of the Constitution and Article 3.1 and 3.2 of the MNGA Act, communities can be represented by their president or vice president, and E, more frequent meetings will allow the MNGA and MNBC to be more responsive to the needs of their communities and Métis people. Be it resolved that Article 32 of the MNBC Constitution be amended from A, the Métis Nation Governing Assembly shall meet at least once per year in British Columbia at a meeting called with no less than 60 days notice to the MNGA members by the MNBC. The meeting shall be held at least 5 months prior to the MNBC annual general meeting. The notice requirement does not apply to Article 32.1. To read, B, the Métis Nation Governing Assembly shall meet at least 3 times per year in British Columbia at a meeting on a date decided upon by the Métis Nation Governing Assembly at the previous meeting. The meeting shall be held at least 3 months prior to the MNBC annual general meeting, except as required in Article 32.1. Meetings may take place over 1 or 2 days as determined by the Métis Nation Governing Assembly. 2 meetings will be virtually and 1 in person, or as determined by the Métis Nation Governing Assembly. The notice requirement does not apply to Article 32.1.
Thank you very much. So the intention here would be to amend or change what was currently in A to read what's there set out in B. I'm going to ask for a mover and a seconder, and I see someone coming to the microphone to my left and recognize. Try again.
You're like Patrick. There we go. Jesse Gervais, Métis Nation, Greater Victoria. I will move.
Thank you very much. Do we have a seconder?
Caitlin Bird, Métis Nation, Greater Victoria. I second.
So Resolution 5 is now before the Assembly. I will invite anyone, including the mover and seconder, if they wish to speak either for or against this resolution. And the Chair recognizes the speaker to my left.
Louis DeJager, Region 2. I totally think this is a great idea. I speak in favor of this. This actually brings the communities and the presidents into the legislative process. We can even talk about if we're going to have second reading, so we can have thorough discussion and we can have the opportunity to pass really good legislation. We no longer have to wait 1.5 years before we can take action. If the presidents feel that we need to move on something, we can do it right away. We can do it in a quick manner and a thorough manner. So I encourage everyone to definitely vote for this.
Thank you. I'm just checking to see if we have any hands raised online. And just remember, for those that are appearing remotely, if you wish to speak to any of the resolutions, please raise your hand using the raise hand function, and we'll put you in the queue. Chair recognizes speaker to my left.
Caitlin Bird, Métis Nation, Greater Victoria. I want to speak a little bit more to this motion. I have seen in the past years that at MNGAs we have so many things to get through that we don't always get to all the resolutions, which means we have to wait another whole year before they come to AGMs. I think if we had more frequent MNGAs, we can move things through more quickly, more efficiently. We can have more communication with our communities before we decide on things. And I will also note that this impacts community leadership time and the board membership time, but not citizen time. And so I want to be that clear about that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to this resolution? I'm hearing question called. I'm just going to make sure that we have no one online. Okay. So I have heard question. I don't see anyone else wishing to speak to this. So we will move to the question for Resolution 5. The same process. Please enter your votes at this time. For those online, that should be up as well. Please enter your votes.
We'll give it a couple more minutes in the room, or probably a couple more seconds, really. Looks like we have all the votes online. If we could close voting in the room and online, please. Could we have the vote numbers displayed on the screen if possible, please? Those are percentages. Said 16. So the vote tallies were in the room, 77 in favor, 1 opposed, no abstentions. Online we had 16 in favor, none opposed, no abstentions, for a grand total of 93 in favor, 1 opposed, and 1 abstention. I don't have the actual percentage, but that clearly meets the 75% requirement for this to be adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Beaker. Resolution 5 as presented passes. We are next on Resolution 3. So that is on page 88, and there you go. It's on the screen as well. I'll turn it over to Brent.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Resolution 3, elections, MNBC staff members. Be it resolved that the language in the Constitution and Electoral Act be amended to allow MNBC staff members to be candidates in an election without resigning their position as follows. Amend Article 47 of the Constitution as follows. A, 47, when nominations close, all candidates holding a salaried position with the MNBC or MNGA must submit in writing notice of a leave of absence. Insert the following definition in Article 3 of the Electoral Act. A, leave of absence means an unpaid leave of absence for an MNBC employee. However, where applicable, an employee may use any accrued annual vacation. B, rearrange the definitions listed under Article 3 to be in alphabetical order. Strike the current Article 8.3 subsection G of the Electoral Act and replace with A, 8.3G, if they are a salaried employee of MNBC, 1, have provided a written notice of intention to stand as a candidate to the CEO of MNBC no later than 15 days before the close of nominations. 2, at the close of nomination, has provided written notice of a leave of absence to the CEO of MNBC. Subsection 1, MNBC will grant the leave of absence for the salaried position. Subsection 2, the citizen, if they receive employment benefits as part of their employment with MNBC, is entitled to all their employee benefits while they are a candidate, save for pay. Subsection 3, if the citizen is elected, they must resign their position with MNBC within 30 days of the date of the election and before being sworn into office. Insert the following article after 8.3G of the Electoral Act, A, 8.3H. If they are currently serving as an independent contractor with MNBC, they have submitted notice of termination of all current contracts at the close of nominations. Renumber sub-articles of 8.3 as needed.
Thank you very much. At this time, I will ask for a mover and a seconder for this resolution. And I recognize the speaker to my left.
Deborah Fisher, I so move.
Thank you very much. Do we have someone that's willing or able to second this resolution? The chair recognizes the speaker to my right.
Karen Nagao, Métis Nation, Columbia River. I second.
Thank you very much. Resolution 3 is now on the floor before the Assembly. For those wishing to speak to this resolution, please take that, and as well online, please use the hand raise, and chair recognizes the speaker to my left.
I like this resolution very much because I believe it falls in line also with our provincial and our federal election system. And speaking from experience with a husband that ran in the election, I think it would have done quite hardship for our family if he would have had to resign, even though he was successful. So I totally agree with this.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to the resolution? Chair recognizes the speaker to my left.
I'm definitely in favor of this resolution, but I just wanted to see if we can make a minor amendment to it. Can we put it back up? Where it states when nominations close, I believe it would be better to have when election is announced, as one of the other resolutions were put forward, just because if you're still on salary for the first month or so, once after it's announced, you're still using MNBC dollars to campaign. So I think maybe when the election is announced, they step down their position but not resign.
Thank you. I'm just looking at the portion. So would that be under the 8.3 sub G II at the close of nomination, or where? Sorry, no, sub I. Sorry, no later than I see. Okay, we'll have Mr. Beaker find that spot, make the changes, and we'll see if that's agreeable with what you're intending.
See, okay, I think he's talking about Article 4. Vice President Minot, could you come to the microphone, please?
Folded?
Absolutely not. If the text on the screen could go back up to the proposed amendment for Article 47. Right there. So it's that part where you're saying when nominations close, you wish that to be changed to what was in the last resolution as to when the date of the election is called. Is that correct?
Yes, and then you would have to change it down below as well, where it also states when a nomination closes.
Yes, that was my question there, because the the proposal as written does state that if an MMBC salaried employee does wish to run, they do have to provide a written notice of intention to serve 15 days before nominations close. Not.
Right there, it states when at the close of nomination.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, let's see if we can put all of those pieces together then. If I could just take a second to type up then. This is going to take a couple minutes. You can let people know that they can maybe stand easy, all that stuff.
So this will just take a few minutes, so feel free to take a little break here while we're doing that. I do see we have a couple speakers. We'll just wait till once we get these wording there, so we'll just kind of stand easy for a couple minutes. But I've got 2 speakers there when we come back.
Oh, this is bad. This is bad. Because if this gets put in for Joe.
We got a complicated order.
What if we change 15 to 30 days?
This time on the amendment before we get a seconder, or ask the mover and seconder if they're accepting the amendment, please?
Is we're trying to draft what the actual amendment will be.
No, it's not on the floor yet, so.
No, I agree. I understand. We can't have it moved without having the actual wording because no one can second if they don't know what the actual proposed amendment is. So that's what we're trying to capture what Mr. Monod was saying so that we can have it in front of everyone and then someone can decide whether they wish to second it and then we can proceed from there. That's what the problem we're having right now.
That makes total sense.
Thank you for your patience. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Beaker, who's going to dictate so we can get the changes on this, the proposed change on the screen, and then we can proceed whether we have a seconder.
Okay, so under A, we're talking about Article 47 of the Constitution. If you could strike out when nominations close and insert when the date of the election is announced. Okay, good. Okay, maybe, yeah, put that in red, perfect. Okay, and then down at Article 8.3G, I, strike, after 15 days, strike before the close of nominations. Yeah, right there. And replace it with after the election is announced. And please remove the semicolon after that striked out part. Thank you. Okay, so is there any way that we can have both red text displayed on the screen at once? And so, is there? I think there's a way to do a different view. Yeah, right there. No. No, you were on the, no, on that read mode, right? If you then zoom it out a bit. Keep zooming it out and it will, okay, that should be good. And then put it over one. Oh, we were so close. Oh, there we are. So I trust that that's clear to everyone in the room what the proposed amendment is.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Beaker. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. And I just want to confirm with Mr. Mnga that's capturing what you were seeking, and I'm seeing nodding. So at this point, we're looking for a seconder for the proposed amendment. The change is there in the red. Do I have a seconder for the proposed amendment? I'm seeing, can you just introduce yourself just so we have it for the minutes?
Anya McVeigh, seconding.
Thank you very much. We now have the proposed amendment on the floor. I know we had some speakers here for, I presume, for the original resolution, but if you wish to speak to the amendment, we can do that, and then we'll also keep you in line for the resolution once it goes back.
Okay. Steve Morrison from Region 1, Greater Victoria. So this actually is confusing to me. I just seeking some clarification because the way it's amended now, why would a staff member who's a citizen put their name forward? They're getting penalized for putting their name forward from the date the election is announced. When nominations close, because they're not running yet, they've just said, hey, I'm going to put my name in to run for this, right? Based on this, as soon as they put their name in, they have to put their name in to step away from their job and lose their pay. That's how I'm reading this. Whereas here, the original, it comes out and says, okay, you put your name in, nomination's closed, okay, now you're a valid candidate, now you have to step away from your job, which makes sense to me, right? And the fact that we've protected our employees, because it's hard to keep employees nowadays. You want to make sure they're protected, so we've protected them by keeping their benefits. But the way this is here, you're losing your paycheck for a heck of a lot longer and penalizing them as employees for wanting to step forward to the next level. From what I understand, board members, when they step forward, you can't campaign or anything during the nomination period. You can't campaign until the writ is dropped and you're ready, the election is called. right? The election starts. Nominations are out. So why are we holding the staff members who are already working hard for our people to a different standard? That's where I'm at. So speaking totally against this, thank you.
Thank you. I'm just gonna, no one online? Okay. I'm going to have our next speaker to my right. I know you were up earlier, so I'll recognize you.
Tansei, Lauren Peterson, Surrey Delta Métis Association. I just want to implore people to think about how difficult it is to recruit and retain Métis staff. If we want a strong nation, we want an equitable nation. The intention behind this resolution, when we started discussing this in 2019 under the amazing Dave Allard, was that we're creating an equitable system for our staff. If we want Métis citizens to want to work for us, we want them to have equal opportunity. And I say that as both citizen and staff member. We should have the same obligations and responsibilities as our board members, because we are a collective. And if that system is not equitable, it is not just, it does not reflect our core values. Thank you.
Thank you. Turn next to Ms. McVeigh.
I was thrilled to see this as it originally was in here. It was great. As amended, I was groaning in a, oh no, I'm going to have to say something capacity. Because as other speakers have said, it just puts employees at a disadvantage, and I just can't see the equity in that. So yeah, I very much speak against the amended.
Thank you. Recognize the speaker to my right.
Tansei, Pixie Wells from the Fraser Valley Métis Association. I'm speaking against this. As a person who used to work for a union, this just sort of slides us right back into that, these people are better than these people, and I think that's not where we're going today. I think we're going for equality, equity, and I believe this puts our employees at MMBC at a disadvantage, so I speak against this, and I think we need to go back to the original resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Recognize the speaker to my left.
Jesse Gervais, Métis Nation Greater Victoria. I am also speaking against this. I don't know how many people in this room have ever thought about running for any office or have run for any office. It's a difficult decision. Our board works incredibly hard and they are away a lot from their families. That is not something you just do without thinking. I'm grateful to all of them that they do it. But our staff should have that opportunity to think it over. If it's the date the election is called, there is no time to think. They are already held in the original version to a slightly higher standard because they have to submit their intention to stand to the CEO 15 days before the close of nominations. They are already short those 15 days, which is more reasonable. They probably have slightly more notice of an election in some situations, depending on where they work at MMBC. But they should still have that time to think it over because it is a difficult decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gervais.
Something to add after Jesse's comments.
Mr. Speaker?
Sorry. I just want to clarify one quick thing after your comments, Mr. Gervais. The written notice of intention can be withdrawn if somebody does change their mind or if they don't get enough signatures to run. It's just to let us know that this could be happening. Once they are nominated as part of the original resolution, that is when we would need the notice of absence. So, thank you.
Chair recognizes the speaker to my right.
Sure. Lisa Smith, I'm a member of Métis Nation Greater Victoria. I oppose this amendment strongly, and I've heard other speakers speak about equity. The notice of intention is just a written notice to the CEO, to MMBC, just so they can prepare for possibly filling that position until after the election or make plans moving forward. So it's just, they're not losing pay or anything. I believe in the integrity of all our MMBC staff and especially our citizens that are staff members. Board members are paid salaries as well. Board members are not to start campaigning until nominations close, and I believe our staff have enough integrity that they would not do that as well. And this is about trust and honoring all our citizens, whether they're staff or citizens or whoever they are. But I think we need equity. And I'm going to say this again, standing board members cannot start campaigning until nominations close either. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes the speaker to my right.
Again, the beauty of democracy in play. Walter and I are cousins, our grandmothers are sisters, and our other grandfather's uncle from my other side are brothers. So we're going to have a good debate at the next family wedding, but in the essence and the beauty of democracy, it's all been said, my feelings, and I oppose this as well, because our Métis staff, we have a long, and they're hard to come by, and we're doing our darnest to hire Métis staff to begin with. But you know what? We got a, I've seen this personally, we got a good core of young Métis coming, and when they feel that they're penalized, they're going to feel like second-class citizens, and I think they got to have fairness, so I oppose this. Love you, Walter.
Thank you. Before Mr. Mnga, I do have our speaker here to my right, and then I'll turn to Mr. Mnga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, David Allard, Salmonar Métis Association. One thing I like about these gatherings is we go on the record here, and it was interesting to hear the most recent speaker mention that board members receive salary. So I appreciated that. One thing I'd like to ask is a point of clarification. If a seconder thus shows support, but then doesn't show support, does that mean that the motion doesn't have a seconder anymore and is thus dead, and then we don't need to vote on it? Thank you.
Yes, they can. You or I? Go ahead.
Mr. Beaker?
Thank you for your point of clarification, Mr. Allard. Seconding a motion does not necessarily mean that you are in favor of a motion. It means that you believe that it should be put on the floor for discussion. If somebody moves a motion and is not seconded, it falls to the floor without any further discussion. You can second a motion and then speak against it because you think that the Assembly should discuss what is being proposed. I hope that clarifies things.
Chair recognizes the speaker to my left.
My intention of this change was not to handcuff our employees or everything. I strongly believe, even board members, when it comes to election time, I strongly believe that even board members should resign and step down, just because of the fact that we are getting dollars for being on this board, and the perception out there in the public is, you know, we're paying these people and now they're using them dollars to campaign. I strongly believe that board members should even step down when it's, as I did in the last elections. I stepped down when I put my name forward, even though our Constitution, our bylaws state we don't have to. I just think it's the right thing to do. And I don't mean to handcuff any employees by making this statement or putting this resolution forward. I just believe in a fair process for everybody, and that's the only intention behind this. It has no intention to handcuff any employees. As people know, I am a very, very strong supporter of our employees. I believe we have a great staff, a great crew on board, and I would not do anything to interfere with them enhancing their life and moving their dreams or aspirations forward by running in an election. But I just feel the perception of being on a salary or anything while you're running for an organization or a government just gives the perception out there for the people that, you know, we're paying them and now they're using them dollars to campaign. So that's the only reason behind this. But I respect the will of the people, and if you guys feel this resolution should not be pushed forward at this time, and I believe by hearing everybody's applause and the conversation going on, that this resolution is not, people are not in favor of it. So I'm willing to pull it off right now if that's the will of the people.
Thank you. So I'll look for a nod. You don't have to come all the way up as seconder. And I know you spoke against it, and I'm seeing you're in agreement with pulling it, the amendment. To confirm, okay, yep. So our seconder has agreed. So the amendment has been pulled or withdrawn. We are back to the resolution 3 as excuse me, as originally set out. Now I know we had a couple speakers before. Mr. Morrison, and I don't know if you wish to speak further. Okay, and I believe Ms. Peterson had also been in line prior to the amendment. Before we go to question, I will. Mr. Gladue has not had a chance to speak to the original resolution, so I'll let him speak, and then, not seeing anyone else come forward and no one online, then we can proceed with question.
Dean Gladue, Region 3 Director. Question.
See, if we were just patient and waited for Mr. Gladue. All right, question has been called. So this is, again, there is a proposed change to the Constitution, so this will require 75% in favor of those votes cast in order to pass. So please enter your vote if you are in favor, if you are opposed, or if you wish to abstain. The vote should also be available online for those appearing remotely. So please enter your vote using your voting device if you are in the room, and enter your vote online, please. I see a speaker at the, to my right. Is it a point of clarification or something while the vote is occurring? Or?
Yes, it is actually. It relates directly to what's happening now. It's a point of clarification that may not be applicable at this AGM, but if this hybrid model is used again, it may be highly applicable. I'm just curious as to, in the event of a tie and at least one individual, and I'm not referring to myself here, but if one individual pressed the wrong button by mistake, can that be corrected?
I'm not going to ask if you pressed the wrong button, but we can certainly look. I know I had heard yesterday, and I don't know if this is how it works. It's the last button you press before it closes.
The last button, okay. Yes. That's
So
good to know.
That's my understanding. We can get some clarification or confirmation.
Yeah, in the case of a tie. I was asking for a friend.
Again, we haven't closed the voting yet. Recognize this as a point of order, or yes?
I just have a point of clarification. Could we get the definition or explanation of what an abstention vote means in this context, please?
Sure, we can do that. Mr. Beaker?
Thank you. Thank you for your question. In this case, because we are calculating the 75% threshold based on votes cast, an abstention does not have any effect on whether or not on how those on how that's calculated. That is that used to be different under the Constitution, where it was 75% of votes in the room. So with that, I think that we have all the votes online. So if we could close the voting in the room, and we will tally the results. Okay, so the results are 78 in favor, 7 opposed, and 1 abstention in the room. Online, we had 14 in favor, 2 opposed, and 2 abstentions online, for a grand total of 92 in favor, 9 opposed, and 3 abstentions. We required 76 votes in favor to pass this resolution. We've made that threshold.
Thank you, Mr. Beaker. So resolution 3 as presented is accepted and passes. We are on to our final resolution, resolution number 4. So I'll turn it over to Brent to read that, and hopefully, yes, we have it on the screen, so great. Go ahead, Brent.
All right, thanks, Mr. Chair. Resolution 4, Regional Governance Councils. Whereas A, healthy, supported, and growing chartered communities are the basis of a healthy and vibrant Métis Nation. B, timely exchange of knowledge will help strengthen and improve the cohesion of efforts both provincially and locally. C, local communities contribute many hours of their time in volunteer contributions to build local relationships and opportunities for Métis people. It is to the benefit of all MNBC citizens for MNBC to work with communities, exchange knowledge of successes and challenges, and prioritize finding resources to support their efforts. And D, MNBC needs effective, permanent, and regular communication between chartered communities and ministries to capitalize on opportunities, inform the development of, and maximize citizen enrollment in programs. Be it resolved that the MNBC Constitution be amended to read, A, add the following, 60.2, each Regional Governance Council will meet at minimum 4 times per year. The meeting may be in person, by phone, or by video link. Time and space will be provided for Regional Governance Council meetings at MNBC governing assemblies and annual general meetings at the request of the Regional Governance Council. 60.3, regional governance councils are responsible for informing MNBC of chartered community efforts and opportunities for the purpose of obtaining support from MNBC ministries, MNBC political relationships, assisting in prioritizing the aspirations of MNBC annual and ongoing budgeting efforts, and inform the search for new funding opportunities. Regional governance councils are also responsible for informing community leadership of progress and developments in all MNBC portfolios to ensure a well-informed Métis governance and provide opportunities for feedback and concerted efforts. 60.4, quorum for regional governance councils is a simple majority of council members. 60.5, regional governance councils may be called by the regional director or a simple majority of council members. 60.6, written notice of the date, time, and location of a regional governance council meeting must be provided to each member listed in Article 60 at least 5 days before the meeting. The notice requirement may be waived by unanimous consent of the Regional Governance Council members. B, renumber existing Article 60.2 to 60.7. C, amend Article 60.3 to read 60.8. If the president or vice president of a community is unable to attend a Regional Governance Council meeting, each chartered community board may designate an elected board member to participate with voting privileges, provided they are a Métis citizen.
Thank you. And what I'm going to suggest, and if I can just have a moment, I'm going to confer with Mr. Beaker. Yeah. So should we change that? Which one's the right one? Yeah, pull the Constitution. Can I just have a moment, please? Thank you very much. Okay, so we have the resolution read. I'm going to ask for a mover and a seconder for resolution number 4. Speaker recognizes the speaker to my left.
Hello. Hi. Patrick Harriet, Region 1 Director. I move this resolution.
Thank you very much. Do we have a seconder?
Greg Stanwood, North Fraser Media Association. I second.
Thank you very much. I will invite those wishing to speak to resolution number 4, and I'll start with the speaker at the microphone to my right.
Karen Mnga, Métis Nation Columbia River. I'd like to speak in favor of the motion. Well done.
Thank you very much. And before I get to the next speaker, just remind those that are online to use the raise hand function, and we'll get you in the queue. In the meantime, I'll turn to the speaker to my left.
Deb Fisher, Region 4 Director. I would like to make a amendment to 60.8 and just add where it says elected board member, I would like to add of that chartered community. Because I believe the way that it reads, you could have somebody from another community.
All right, thank you. We'll just we'll type that in, and then we'll confirm
Yes, that is where we want to add it, to the person writing on the screen.
Yeah. And I think it was that instead
Yes.
of the. Yes, please. Of that, thank you. So I just want to confirm, Ms. Fisher, that's what you were seeking to the red, the change? Adding of that chartered community? I'm seeing nodding your head, okay. So you've moved this amendment. Do I have a seconder for the amendment? I'm going to turn to the speaker to my left.
Patrick Harriott, Region 1 Director. I second the amendment.
Thank you. Okay, no, nothing online. I'm going to open it to, and Mr. Gledu, I do have you on the original list for the resolution, but if you wish to speak to the amendment at this time, or the proposed amendment, okay. So what I'll do is I'll open it for the amendment, if there's anyone wishing to speak to that.
I support, I'd like to also speak on that. I support this amendment.
Okay.
So I'm just letting it known.
Thank you. Question. Now, I'm just going to confirm, I haven't seen it. What I'm going to do then, I'm going to propose, or we can go by way of unanimous consent. So please, at this time, if you're online, raise your hand if you're opposed to adding the amendment as proposed. Just use your raise hand. Anyone in the room, please raise your hand with the card just so that I can see the yellow attached if you wish to oppose, and then we can go to a vote on the amendment. I'm not seeing anyone yet. I'll give a second. So if you wish to oppose, otherwise we will accept the amendment by way of unanimous consent. I know sometimes there's a bit of a delay online, so I'll just give them an extra moment. Okay, I'm not seeing, so is that, you're opposing unanimous consent?
Yeah, it puts me in a comfortable position, but yeah, I would like to propose an amendment, please.
Well, we have to.
Yes, I oppose unanimous consent for that
Okay,
reason.
thank you. All right, so what we'll do then is we will have a vote. This does not require 75%. This is just for whether to accept the amendment as proposed. So just a moment.
If I could clarify with Mr. Allard, does your proposed amendment have anything to do with the 4 words in red that were proposed as an amendment? Are you proposing an amendment to those 4 words that Minister Fisher has proposed to add?
No, I support that amendment.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Yeah, let's go.
All right, so we will go to a vote on the amendment. This is just a majority vote. So once that opens, if you are in favor of adding the 4 words that have been proposed, we'll let you know once the vote is open. Okay, and those are online. The vote is open online. And we'll have the vote open in a moment here in the room. Excuse me. Thank you. So for those, this is the proposed, this is the amendment, whether to accept the amendment. If you're with, no, that's fine. That's fine. All right, so please enter if you are in favor of the proposed amendment, if you are opposed, or if you wish to abstain from that. Okay, I hope everyone's entered it. We'll give it another second, and then we'll close the vote in the room. All right, if we could close the in-room vote, please, and tally that.
So we have 80 votes in favor in the room, 1 opposed, 2 abstentions, and online we had 16 in favor, 0 opposed, and 0 abstentions, for a grand total of 96 in favor, 1 opposed, and 2 abstentions.
Okay, thank you. So the amendment has been accepted. I will open it back up to Mr. Gladue, who was in line on the original resolution, if he wishes to speak to that. Then I will open it to the speaker to my right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. David Allard, Salmon Arm Association. Like everyone else, I'm quite pleased that things are going along at a friendly, quick pace here. If I had to catch a flight in a few minutes, I probably wouldn't be submitting this amendment here. But in light of what transpired yesterday, where we spent potentially more than an hour on what appeared to me to be semantics and wording, notwithstanding the importance of that as well, I think since we have time now, it's worth the consideration to remove 60.3. My reasoning is all the other, be it resolves, are all action items. They are all clear and precise in their intent. 60.3, despite being very well worded, appears to me to be more suitable to be in a policy manual or in a definition manual. It seems like it's slightly open-ended because the roles and responsibilities of the RGC are evidently not limited only to what is in 60.3. So that means there's so much that's excluded in that. It just seems at odds with the other parts, the 60.2 and et cetera. And this is going in the Constitution. So 60.3 is open to a lot of interpretation by what it does include and as well what it doesn't include. So my amendment is to have 60.3 removed and put in the appropriate location in the many documents that we have out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allard. I will look if we have a seconder for that proposed amendment. I see a speaker to my right.
Don Corson, West Kootenay Métis Society. I agree with Mr. Allard's comments, and I have the same concerns. We're relying on a bunch of reports to keep repeating ourselves, and RGC, et cetera. So I fully support what David's suggesting here, 60.3 be removed.
Thank you very much. So we do have a mover and a seconder for the amendment to strike or remove what the proposed 60.3. So that,
sorry. Mr. Allard, something just came to my attention with your proposed amendment. Would you be amenable to
In the whereas?
No, not in the whereas, but the renumber existing articles part, because we are removing 60.3. If we could renumber existing Article 6.2, if you could also propose an amendment that I could read 60.6, and then also under where it says amend Article 60.3, it reads 60.8, if that could read 60.7.
Yeah, by nature, I'm a very amenable fellow, so yes.
Thank you very much.
And I'll just confirm with Mr. Corson, he's agreeable with that as well. And I'm seeing the thumbs up. Thank you. And that's, I mean, really, it's a part of housekeeping just to make sure that our numbering remains consistent if we were to remove that. So I appreciate that. And so it is now open for discussion on whether to remove 60.3 or debate on removing 60.3. If anyone wishing to speak to that, please come to the microphone. Anyone online wishing to speak to that, please raise your hand and we'll get you into the queue. We'll just give everyone just a second. I did hear someone in the calling question, but I just want to make sure that we have an opportunity. Okay, so it might just take us a second just to make sure we can get the resolution or the amendment action so that we can vote on it. Given that there was no discussion, excuse me, what I will try is see if we have unanimous consent to remove 60.3. If there is someone opposed to the removal of 60.3, raise your hand with your card if you're in the room, or use the raise hand function, and then we can proceed to a full vote if necessary. Otherwise, if we have unanimous consent to the proposed amendment by Mr. Allard, then we will proceed. I'm just checking to see if we've got a hand raised online. I'm not seeing one. I know sometimes there's a bit of a delay. Yes?
Lauren Dean, Mikisew Métis Association. I'm just wondering if there's a place where the actual purpose of the RGC is written down anywhere.
It would either be in the Constitution. Just give me a moment.
If we're going to be removing this from the Constitution, I feel like there needs to be a place for the purpose of the RGC. Even if it's just a general two-way conversation, governance council or something like that. And then also, is there, sorry, I'm not following process properly here, but is there a place where we can actually like have that written down? Is there like a...
It's in the book. The Constitution's in the book.
Oh, I understand that, but like if we're looking at removing that piece, which outlines the possibilities of what happens at an RGC, can we move it to somewhere else? So if it's not in the Constitution, where would that be?
I'm not sure. Well, offhand.
Thank you for your question. The proposed striking of the proposed Article 60.3 by Mr. Allard was not necessarily to remove that information. It was just his opinion and his proposal that it not be in the Constitution, but it could be in a policy document and et cetera. To answer your question, the way that Article 60 is currently written, there is a definition of what the composition of an RGC is and the qualifications to be a voting member at the RGC, but there is nothing in there that says what an RGC is necessarily responsible for. The RGC has been assigned certain responsibilities in other pieces of legislation, but in this section of the Constitution is not there. So I hope that clarifies.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes the speaker to my left.
Caitlin Bird, Métis Nation, Greater Victoria. If that is the case and those are outlined within policies and procedures, that means that is determined by not the citizens and not by the governing assembly. It is determined by staff. and I feel that we should have a say in what the intention and purpose of the RGC is. So I speak against the amendment.
So we do not have unanimous consent, so we will proceed then to a vote on the proposed amendment to remove 60.3 and the necessary numbering changes that accompany that.
Let's take this vote a little bit slow because those comments came up pretty.
Yep.
Resolution on this. Yeah. So, okay, push the vote out.
Okay, so if you are in favor of removing the proposed 60.3, please vote in favor. If you wish to oppose the removal, then B. And then if you wish to abstain, please enter that. And the vote should be available online as well.
That's all part of the amendment.
So please enter your vote.
So it's just that's 60.6 and then that's 60.2. Or yeah. Taking this head person in charge a little too serious. He's doing great though. Glad he stepped it up.
So there's a few people online that may not have voted yet. They are trickling in. And in the room, I hope we should have that vote entered. All right, we will close the voting in the room and online.
Six opposed, 7 in favor, 4 abstain. All right. Okay, we have 34 abstentions. Okay, hold just a minute. 78. Okay, what do we have now? 774. 6 in favor. 7. So in the room, we have 34 in favor, 48 opposed, and 8 abstentions. Online, we had 7 in favor, 7 opposed, and 4 abstentions, for a grand total of 41 in favor, 55 opposed, and 12 abstentions.
Thank you. So the proposed amendment fails. So we are back to the original resolution as amended with the wording that had been accepted earlier. At this time, is there any further discussion on the original resolution? Did you see someone possibly making their way? Yes, okay. Chair recognizes the speaker to my right.
Marcy, Mr. Chair. So I'm going back to these LOUs and MOUs happening in local charter communities without local charter community leadership being aware of them. And I'm wondering if we might be able to, I can propose an amendment to 60.3. The way I read it right now, it's kind of a one-way street for information, where the RGC is responsible for providing information of the local charter community to the board and informing programming. I'm wondering if we could also have information coming to the RGC from the board regarding any relationships or agreements that the Métis Nation of BC is having in that local charter community. A proposed amendment: governance councils are also responsible for informing community leadership of progress.
Sorry, Ms. Ibbotson, just proposing right now is at the end of 60.3 is written. So isn't there a sentence after it?
Yeah, it's kind of
Okay.
wedged in there. I'm trying to sort out the grammar here.
No, fair enough. I just wanted to know where to start typing, so if you could start speaking and I'll type it.
So prior to the and, Métis Nation BC leadership informs the RGC of local MOUs or LOUs in their community and developments in all MNBC portfolios.
Okay.
Pardon me, can we change informs to consults and engages?
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Regional governance councils are also responsible for.
This is more a responsibility of MNBC leadership to the RGC taking place at an RGC.
Okay.
Yeah, so I might have requested to have it in an awkward place.
Okay.
So if we actually add at the end of the sentence, a new sentence that focuses on MNBC leadership. Sorry, I tried to wedge it in there to be efficient.
Sorry, it took us a couple minutes, but I think we got there. So 60.3 is unchanged until the end, where we are adding in a sentence that says MNBC leadership consults and engages the Regional Governance Council regarding LOUs and MOUs relevant to their local area. We can give you a second to see that on the screen and chew on it a bit before you accept. Yes. MNBC leadership is responsible for consulting and engaging with regional governance councils. Can't use the acronym there, unfortunately. Regarding LOUs and MOUs relevant to their local area. And maybe, as I said, that we can't use an acronym there, and then we stuffed in a couple other acronyms. And also, I don't think that you want it just to be about any like formal written agreement. We could expand that to be regarding any relevant agreement. right, or do you, yeah.
Affecting the citizens, agreement affecting the citizens of their. I'm not even sure what we call a charter community area, dominion. I always struggle with that language.
So
it wouldn't be region because that's the whole region, right? I wouldn't sit at Columbia River and inform their LOUs,
Okay, regarding
right?
all relevant agreements.
But they're not going to let everyone from the community sit.
Okay, if the text on the screen could read, if the text on the screen could read, MMBC leadership is responsible for consulting and engaging with the regional governance councils regarding all relevant impacts that would impact citizens in their in the respective region. Regarding all relevant agreements.
I think the impacting citizens kind of brings the relevance in, right?
Consulting in their respective region. Yeah, so I think we're there. Ms. Ibbotson. Ms. Ibbotson. Alex, do we have an amendment that meets your approval?
Yes.
Great.
Marcy.
Now, I have been keeping track of names, and so I am going to look for a seconder for this, and I'm looking to my right.
Yes, hi. Thank you, Chair. David Allard, Seminar Métis Association. I second this, and I'd like to quickly point out that this illustrates exactly the reason why I wanted this stricken, and it does support the comment of Caitlin. The citizens, the communities need to be engaged, and thank you, Alex, for stepping up. We're way ahead of schedule. I'm still ready to do more work. I believe it should still be stricken and revisited in a more comprehensive manner. This is just the tip of the iceberg, what Alex is proposing, and we heard everyone talking and try to add to it. I think it should be done in a different context, but the vote was against striking it. I respect that. I'm fine with that. I was fairly close, which is illustrates something as well. But I do second this, and I hope we have a continuing conversation about this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I did have Mr. Harriet there. I'm not sure. It looks like he's taken to his seat. All right. Then Chair recognizes the next speaker to my left.
Betty Ann McDonnell, Nicola Valley and District Métis. To David's point, I have a flight at 7:30, so hey, I have lots of time. I was so used to this going so long that I thought I'd be safe. I'm completely in favor of this, but I would like to see it broadened in that we all have citizenship lists. We know what our area, our territories are. So it should encompass that. And it absolutely has to encompass the leadership, and it's not just for this. If you're coming to engage in my community with anyone, I believe out of respect, leadership should always be part of that and informed.
Thank you. Chair recognizes the speaker to my right.
Thank you. Don Corson, West Kootenay Métis Society. As a community president that's been attending RGCs for the last several years, to voice Mr. Allard's concern. There's a lot in here, a lot of discussion and a lot of double speak as I see it. I'm going to a meeting to represent and find out about stuff that the MNBC has to provide me, and then I'm supposed to tell myself and my community what I just found out. If I've been informed beforehand, I share it with the community right away. I'm not keeping any secrets back. So to go to numerous meetings, I'd like to propose and to table this amendment, or table this whole resolution until the next MNGA, so that the presidents who attend representing their communities can flesh out the wording and the details. So by tabling it, the presidents or vice presidents or representatives of the communities, which is what this is speaking to, RGCs, can resolve and clarify what they really want done. Thank you. I'd like to propose to table this motion till next MNGA, bring it back to the MNGA table, and then again, I'll revisit it at the next AGM. Thank you.
Okay, just a moment before we end the next speaker.
Mr. Corson, I believe that you are making a motion to refer this resolution to the 2023 MNGA. Is that correct?
That's correct. The next upcoming MNGA. And we just had a vote previously to say that we're going to have 3 or 4 of these MNGAs. 1 in person, 2 virtual. So we're increasing from 1 MNGA to 3. So we'll be able to work through this fairly quickly at the MNGA table, which are presidents, vice presidents, or representative of the communities.
Okay.
Good? I just need a seconder.
All right, so we need a seconder on that motion to amend. So we have people at the site, so if they're wishing to, then we'll have them. If not, then please attend so that we can record it for the minutes. I will look here, Mr. Jaggers, are you wishing to second? Thank you. Mr. Bigger, I see you. Are you wishing to second?
Yeah, Gary Bigger, citizen, I'll second that.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Diego, I did have your name from the original one. I am opening it for discussion on the proposal to refer it to the next MNGA. So, Mr. Bigger, I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Yep, the reason why I seconded is when you're talking about bringing information to communities that might just affect their region, well, I go all over the province. We hunt, there are harvesters that harvest all over the province. There's stuff that's happening up north that's going to affect our ability to harvest. And if the board's getting into agreements with people and companies up north that could affect an area that we harvest in, we want to know about it down here or in other regions. So this isn't just talking about, we're talking over the province here. This could snowball into a big thing where the province, MNBC, and regions come into an agreement that could affect a lot more people than just people in their communities. So I think we should table this, take it back, because there's so much to talk about in this issue alone.
Thank you. Yes, the chair recognizes the speaker to my left.
So I speak against tabling this. This was brought up in February at the MNGA and passed at the MNGA. One of the main reasons this resolution is on there is so that communities can appoint somebody else besides their president or vice president to attend meetings, etc. If it's tabled, that will also be tabled, so it'll be another year till that happens. I believe this is a bigger issue to discuss all of these different things on communication and where it should fall and where it should be put in resolutions, et cetera. A resolution, we will be having 3 more MNJs throughout the next year. Resolutions can come to the next MNJ that can precisely capture what everybody is saying instead of tying it into another resolution as we have on the floor right now. So I'm against it. There is room at the next MNGA, which will be shortly, I think, if we're going to fit in 3, so that that resolution that can contain everything and be worded with some more thought and construction then. So I totally against opposing it. Or amending it.
I'm next going to turn to online participant, Mr. Douglas. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Douglas.
There we go.
Great. Hopefully this will work. Mr. Douglas, when you're ready. Thank you, Mr. Douglas. I next have a speaker to my right.
Thank you so much. Lisa Smith, I'm a member of Métis Nation Greater Victoria. I'm going to speak against tabling this. This did go to our MNGA in February, as one of my other colleagues mentioned, and there was a lot of discussion about this. And for those that maybe aren't aware of the MNGA, that is all of our community presidents or vice presidents and the full board of directors. And we have a 2-reading process, and I really, really like that. And with the addition of extra MNGAs, we may be able to debate over, resolutions a few times before it does come to the MNGA. I agree that this would not come back to the floor until next September at our AGM. I also think I do appreciate the addition of the LOUs, MOUs, and I think that the discourse and the communication does need to happen. However, I think we're getting away from the purpose of this resolution, and the intent of it was originally to ensure that there's 4 Regional Governance Council meetings. Previously, we only had funding for 1 Regional Governance Council meeting per year. In our budget this year, we've provided additional funding to enable Regional Governance Councils to meet in person more than 1 time a year, and that will be up to the Regional Governance Councils and the Regional Directors to implement that. Also, the other intent of this, all of our community presidents and vice presidents are very, very busy and very overwhelmed, and we appreciate all their volunteer work. And the Article 6.8 is suggesting that a charter community board may designate an elected board member to participate if the VP or the president isn't able to. So that shares the leadership within community, and at times the VP or president may not be able to. So I think that strengthens it and shows shared leadership among our community boards as well. So I'm speaking against this, and I would suggest that we do have a governance committee that has been mandated by the MNGA as well, and that could be something they want to have a look at some time regarding a policy or other of the Regional Governance Council, and bring back something to the MNGA to get this going. But I do believe that all of our legislation are living documents, and that we can add further to this. But I think the intent of the resolution, I would like to see that go through, and especially to allow for the community to designate one of their elected board members to participate in RGCs. One more thing.
Excuse me, I know we're running early, so I'm going to allow a little bit more than the 2 minutes. But
no,
we're
it's
over
okay.
the 2
If
minutes.
I've done my 2 minutes, I'm fine.
Okay,
I'm a citizen right now, so thank you.
Thanks. I'm not sure who was first in line, Jesse, or I believe you were next in line, and then I'll get to you, Jesse.
Cindy Nowakowski, Salmon Métis. So I'm against tabling it for all the reasons that Lisa shared. And I don't know if this is the right time, but it's going back to David Allard asking it to be stricken because I think it should be under 59. We're talking about the role of the RGCs. That defines who the RGCs are in Section 59. So their role should be under there. I do think that it's important that we really define and figure the language out of what we're doing in an RGC meeting and what all should be shared from NBC with us as regions and as communities. I think that this is the start of the communities having a bigger voice, and it will stop this go-around. Like, communities need to be able to be the focal point. The services need to come out of the community, and I think that the RGCs is where that starts, and then it's a systemic change.
Thank you. Go ahead. Speaker to my left.
Hello. Just for you, Patrick. Jesse Gervais, Métis Nation Greater Victoria. I am also speaking against tabling this. I work in other levels of government a lot, and perfection is quite often the enemy of progress. We can get some stuff done now, and then we have many more MNGAs to work on it in the coming year, and we have already passed that there will be more MNGAs if we require that only the president and vice president can attend those, as is currently the case. that is that much more work on them. Whereas if we pass this now, we can have other board members attend on their behalf. We can spread the load, which, as we all know, the communities are shouldering a lot right now. The more we can share, the better of that work. And then if there's more discussion on what the purpose of an RGC is, that can happen at those MNGAs, and we can bring it back next year. We can keep working on this forever if we want. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the speaker to my right.
Thank you, Chair. David Allard, Salmon Métis Association. This is my first time speaking to this motion to table, which I support. I'd like to say that the MNGA where this came about is in your book, so you can refer to that if you want to. I did make a motion to strike Section 60.3 during that MNGA, and I was the one who proposed the amendment to have the possibility of a board member take the place of the president or vice president. I pushed pretty hard for that. I'm glad to see this potentially happening here today or shortly down the line. I'd prefer to table it because of the larger concerns previously mentioned, even at the potential cost of not having that section of the resolution be adopted, which would allow more flexibility for RGC members, attendees. That being said, it's probably only just a year if it gets passed again, and during that time frame, I'm ready to commit, or Vice President, I'm sure will do the same, to attend RGC. So I don't think it'll be an extremely critical issue if we don't have that section passed at this immediate time. We've been working around it before. I think it's very important, but I think it's a longer-term solution to the systemic issues of volunteer burnouts. So I'm in support of tabling this, and if it isn't tabled, I'd like to, I will speak to the amendment at that point in time for changing the wording. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes the speaker to my left.
Caitlin Bird, Métis Nation, Greater Victoria. I think this, I'm against tabling it. I think that this resolution includes important information such as that there are frequent meetings for the RGC, which is currently not anywhere else in our Constitution. And we have great directors right now that do hold RGCs, but should something change, that doesn't need to be the case because it's not outlined anywhere. I know, I'm not sure about order and whatnot, but can we revisit the motion to strike 60.3? Because I feel like that part may need more work, as has been mentioned. And I don't know what the process is to see if we can pass the rest and strike that, as David Allard mentioned first.
All right, just a moment.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, well, I see there. Okay. Thank you very much. And so we're just discussing the process. So similar to what we did yesterday, and I'm always a little loath to do that because it just invites revisiting and reconsidering votes that we have. That being said, we do have a motion to refer on the floor. That takes precedence. So depending on what happens with that, whether to reconsider may or may not apply, and we can revisit that, and I'll let you know. That's obviously up to you or any other citizens to decide whether to bring that. Other than that, I'm not sure if there's anyone wishing to speak further on the motion to refer, and I'll turn it to Mr. Corson.
Yes, Don Corson, West Kootenay Métis Society. One of the reasons I brought the action to table was because our last MNGA was done virtually on Zoom. It's a totally different environment to sit and chat face-to-face and discuss the implications and application of these amendments and how we discuss things. The Zoom is a very challenging format to have an open dialogue as we sit in this room. And I think it's very important. It's your meeting. The AGM is about the citizens. Likewise, when we go to a MNGA, it's about the presidents bringing community issues and governance and how we'd like to see our communities governed. And I hope people, you know, and I'm sure if we've all gone through this Zoom wars, meetings on Zoom, but there's a totally different flavor on a Zoom meeting of how you let people talk and express yourselves. I'm a firm believer that sitting face to face across the table from our counterparts, we might disagree, but we can always come to that consensus face to face that is not met on a Zoom call. And that's why I feel it's important that we have a face to face, and because of the COVID relaxed rules, the next MNGA will be a face to face meeting, hopefully, to resolve. If this is the priority of the Assembly, then that's good. I would think that we can have face-to-face meetings for those critical issues. Zoom meetings are updates and reviews and that nature. So I'll leave it at that. It's important to reflect on the Zoom meeting versus face-to-face and how we communicate with each other. We can't do that in chats and on this sidebar. So thank
you. Chair recognizes the speaker to my left.
Patrick Harriott. I'm speaking against tabling. And I think that with the 3 MNGAs that we are now going to have, they're likely to, and in fact it says that in the legislation that we just passed, that some of them will be virtual. And the likelihood of the next one being virtual is quite high. And it's the one in the spring that will be in person. I am hoping we're not going to table this so that we can separate what is, I think, at issue with the important stuff that talks about when we meet as a regional governance council, who can be there to represent the communities, who can call a regional governance council, all these things that were not there and have never been there. So I'd like to see that move forward, and perhaps we can revisit how we can separate those two things. Thanks.
Thank you. So I appreciate the debate on this, and just for everyone's sake, including mine, I know I'm sure I've used the word tabling. This is a motion to refer. It's always, you know, I think everyone knows what we're talking about when we're saying table. It's technically just not the correct term, good old Robert's rules. But so this is, I have heard question. We're going to vote on the motion to refer this, the resolution in total to the next MNGA. So it is now, if you are in favor of referring this or sending it to the next MNGA, please vote in favor. If you wish to deal with it today, please vote opposed, and you can obviously abstain as well. It should be available online as well, so please enter your votes. Okay, if we could close the votes online and in the room.
So the vote tallies are in the room, 18 in favor, 65 opposed, 2 abstentions. Online, we had 4 in favor, 13 opposed, and 1 abstention, for a grand total of 22 in favor, 78 opposed, and 3 abstentions for the motion to refer Resolution 4 to the 2023 MNGA.
Thank you. So that motion is opposed, or it fails. So we are back to the amendment proposed by Ms. Ibbotson. I do note the time. We were scheduled for a 10 o'clock health break, and we started a little bit early today, so I think this would be a good time to take that break. People can discuss and over snack or something like that, but I've got, I'm sorry, Mr. Diego, I'm trying to remember when you first jumped up. Was it for?
The original.
The original. Okay, thank you. And then so I'll have Mr. Allard and Mr. Harriet coming for the amendment that's currently on when we return.
When we return.
When we return.
I have a question. Could we have, excuse me, could we have the amendment there for review during the break?
Yes.
Yes, both sections, please. Thank you.
No, well, hold on a minute. You talk.
All right, everyone. We do have quorum. We are going to continue with the business at hand. I hope everyone had a chance to stretch their legs a little bit. So we are, just so we're all on the same page, we are back to discussing the amendment that was proposed by Ms. Ibbotson. And so I will invite those wishing to speak to that amendment to come to one of the microphones. And the chair recognizes the speaker to my left. And if I could have everyone else, if you wish to speak or have conversations, please do it out in the hall so that we're able to hear the next speaker. Thank you.
So just, my name is Patricia Paulson, Region 6 Women's Representative and Northwest Community Charter VP. Just to clarify, we are speaking about whether or not to table or refer this resolution, is that correct?
No, we had that vote just before the break, and it was opposed, so we're not tabling, we're back to discussing the amendment in the red that Ms. Ibbotson brought.
Okay, am I able to speak to anything else other than what's on the red at this time?
If not at this time,
Okay.
If it's to this particular amendment, but if you wish, I can put your name on the original resolution list.
Please, yes, thank you.
Could we have the proposed text of the amendment shown on the screens and remain on the screens until it is disposed of? Thank you.
Okay, chair recognizes speaker at the right, Mr. Bigger.
Métis citizen. In this resolution, I want to slight amend it again. And the reason why is I think the regional councils should not only be talking about what happens in the region again. So somewhere it should have the word also provincial projects, because again, like 3 hours away, you're out of somebody else's, you're in a different region. And my trap line is one of the biggest trap lines in British Columbia. It's just up 3 hours away. So if MNBC and Merritt or Kamloops come into agreement with a logging company or a trucking company that could affect my trap line, and I don't hear about it, I'll be pretty upset. And this is gonna go for a lot of other people that are Métis in this province that have trap lines, hunting, guide territories, everything else. There's so much happening in this province right now that the general public doesn't realize. We have to be informed, and if something comes across a regional table that could affect a citizen's ability to harvest up north, not only wild game, salmon, everything else, it's a big issue. So I think instead of just talking about regional issues, we have to be talking about provincial issues also.
Thank you, Mr. Bigger. At this time, and I know you've proposed some wording or some change, and we'll deal with this amendment as presented first, and then once that's either accepted or not, then we can go with any potential other amendments. Sorry, just a moment.
He can amend the amendment. He can amend the amendment? Yes, he can. Yeah.
All right, sorry, so we can actually, sorry, my apologies, we can amend the amendment, and I know it gets into difficulties in that, and so I'm going to recognize the next speaker, and then we may just try to see if we got the wording that Mr. Bigger's talking about, but I'll recognize the next speaker first.
Karen Nagao, I'm wondering if President Ibbotson would be opposed to just cutting it off right where you have highlighted, just impacting citizens, which allows for them to even perhaps discuss things that regarding Métis Nation Council or anywhere across our nation.
I will look to President Ibbotson if that is if you're in agreement. And I'm trying to remember who was the seconder. I think it was Mr. Allard?
Yes.
Mr. Allard, are you in the room? Are you in agreement with that change to the amendment that was made by Ms. Ibbotson? Thank you. So we will then proceed with the discussion where we remove that portion after the word citizen. So we'll continue with that discussion. Is there anyone else wishing to discuss that? I'm not seeing any. Let me just make sure I check online. Not seeing any hands. Okay, then we will proceed to the vote. I can see if we have unanimous consent. We'll try to do this quickly. If anyone opposes the amendment as, or it was on the screen, if we can keep it there, thank you. If there's anyone that opposes the amendment, please just quickly raise your hand and we'll proceed to a full vote. That goes for anyone online. Use the raise hand function. I see a hand up. Thank you. Okay, so we will proceed to a vote, not having unanimous consent. So we'll get that vote brought up, and this is to accept the proposed amendment, keeping in mind that that in their respective region will be struck and the period at the end of citizens. Once we have that up on the screen, then you'll be able, there you go. Please enter your vote. Whether you're in favor, opposed, or wish to abstain.
Nope. Where are we at? Cal. How many do we have? Okay, give it a little more.
Yeah, we have 15.
Wasn't delayed online.
Okay, we'll just give it one more second. Make sure those online are able to enter their votes. Make sure everyone in the room has. Give it 10 seconds. Count down from there. All right, if we could close the voting both online and in the room, please.
Okay. So votes in the room, we have 70 in favor, 7 opposed, 1 abstention. Votes online, we have 12 in favor, 1 opposed, and 3 abstentions, for a total of 82 votes in favor, 8 opposed, and 4 abstentions.
Thank you. So that passes, the amendment passes. So we are back to the original resolution as amended. And I have Mr. De Jager at the front of that line.
Lucky me. Yeah, at this point, really, I think it looks good. This is kind of the second time it's been here. I'd like to call a question. I think this is ready for a vote. I just want to remind people that we do have a committee, a governance committee that's been formed by the MNGA. There's other bodies that are going to work on this. I just don't think that this body here, Gary Bigger brings up some really good points. Alex brings up some good points. I think those should be flushed out. in those committees and those RGCs and really pass good legislation. So that's what we're moving toward. I know we want to get there like yesterday, but we're on our way. So just a deep breath, let's do this. We've got more RGCs on their way, and we're going to pass good legislation. We just, it's best not to rush. So I'd call question.
Thank you. I'm going to respect the individuals who are and have been waiting patiently, but I'm going to limit it to those two that have been sitting patiently and are one online. I'll go with Mr. Oh, and I see Mr. Douglas has lowered his hand online, so we'll turn to you. Yes, please.
Is this on? Okay, no, this is on. Good morning, Patricia Paulson again, Region 6 Vice President, Region 6 Women's Representative, Northwest BC Community Charter Vice President. And on this issue, I'm speaking as Vice President of a chartered community. I just wanted to say that this part about being able to delegate responsibilities outside of a president and a vice president is really important on the charter community level. And for the following reasons, our chartered communities need an option for delegating responsibilities, not only because of burdens of responsibilities like schedules and things that happen in life, but we also need a way to give a pathway up to learn, process, and share responsibility to our citizens who want to be involved and have a say in things and a part in how things operate. Our citizens want to participate not only as board members, but also as a possibility, as a pathway up to engage and participate. They need that. I support that. And I think that would give a lot of, that would provide solutions for some of the issues that are happening on the charter community level with attendance, responsibilities, being able to disseminate the information and bring it down to our citizens. So I think I'm very much in support of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So a question was called, and I'm just going to confirm that it wasn't a mistake or something wrong with Mr. Douglas lowering his hand. I don't see it back up. So we are going to vote on the resolution as amended. Now, this is a constitutional amendment. This will require 75% of votes cast. So please enter, excuse me, enter your vote now. It is live. As well as those online, please enter, excuse me, enter your vote. We're just making sure that those attending online have their votes in. I'm hoping everyone in person has already entered their vote. Okay, if we could close the voting both online and in person and get those results, please.
So we had 83 in favor in the room, 5 opposed, 1 abstention. Online, we had 13 in favor, 0 opposed, and 2 abstentions, for a total of 96 in favor, 5 opposed, and 3 abstentions. We required 76 votes to pass this.
All right, well, that resolution passes, and so I want to congratulate everyone here. We are through our resolutions. To be frank, I was a little worried coming out of yesterday, but I want to thank everyone for coming a little early and for the lively and good debate. I think the meeting went in a good way today. And all the rest of this weekend. And so, if you turn to your agenda, the next are closing remarks from President Smith, and then we'll have a closing prayer. So, I'm not sure if Senator Gladue is here yet, and he's going to be making his way, I expect. So, we'll have President Smith, and then we'll proceed with that.
Wow, this has just been an incredible few days, and it's so wonderful to see everybody. I think this has brought our nation together again, and here we are interacting as family, and that's so important. You know, over COVID, it just isolated so many of us, and, you know, it's easy to sit on a keyboard and make some not so nice comments, but when you're face to face, it's a time for, you know, putting grudges behind us and just loving each other as family. And I just believe that of our nation. And I think now that we're meeting again in person, it's going to be wonderful moving forward. Once again, I'm very humbled to be standing here doing closing remarks as your president. And I just want to remind everybody when I'm speaking at the mic resolutions, I am speaking as a citizen. So please don't hold that against me as your president. I am a citizen as well. And so on behalf of our entire MNBC Board of Directors, we want to first thank every Métis citizen in this room and online for participating in our first ever hybrid annual general meeting. And I think it worked out well because people that couldn't make it in person could still participate online. So it's wonderful that we can, I believe that was successful. We did have a few glitches. So you, the citizens, are the heartbeat of our nation, and it is through the grassroots that we have the mandate. The board is mandated to continue delivering services and programs for our citizens. As you know, my heart has been really full being able to see you all in person again and interact with each other. I'm really glad we were able to get through all 5 of our resolutions over the weekend. I think the first one we started out and it was quite challenging and I was getting worried. And then this morning, I think I jinxed it saying we're going to be done early and our last resolution. It was great discussion. And we know we need to do no more work on the purpose and a policy for regional governance councils, so that will be done, and I'm sure our staff have made note of it. We did get a couple late greetings from an MLA on Friday. I don't know if they realized we were starting at noon on Friday, but I'll just read one quickly, and then we had another greeting arrive today. Jennifer Whiteside, Minister of Education and Childcare, sent us a greeting. And she says, I appreciate MNBC's unwavering commitment to the success of Métis students. Métis Nation BC is an important partner in addressing racism and inequity faced by Indigenous students. To that end, I'm grateful for your contributions to the development of the provincial K-12 Anti-Racism Action Plan and for your participation in recent community roundtables on anti-racism in education and the Anti-Racism Education Partner Collaborative. Métis Nation BC has been a part of the advisory group for Indigenous Learning Strategy and has contributed to the development of teacher resources. Thank you for always engaging with the Ministry of Education and Childcare on our shared education priorities and our efforts to improve equity for Indigenous students throughout BC. I wish everyone a productive session at your annual general meeting and all the best in the 2022-23 school year. So thank you to the work of Minister Fisher and our education team on building such a good relationship with the Minister of Education and Childcare, and we do appreciate Minister Whiteside's greetings. We had one more greeting come in, and Mr. William Tu, the constituency assistant to Teresa Watt, MLA for Richmond North Centre, brought that today, and I believe he's still with us today. So thank you for bringing this. It's a warm greetings and sincere appreciation to Métis Nation, British Columbia. She says, please accept my sincerest appreciation for all you have done to make our community and the province of BC one of the greatest places on earth to live, work, and play and raise families. And that's from Teresa Watt, MLA, Richmond North Centre.
Minister Shen. I would like, oh, is it on? I'd like to call up Minister Shen, please. This lady is responsible for the incredible work that we have been doing with our early years programs and our childcare programs. And like I announced this morning, the funding that we received. I just want to say on behalf of all of the citizens, thank you very much for all the hard work that you're doing, and thank you for coming and meeting with us here today. Thank you.
It's so nice to see you again, Minister Chen. Thank you so much for coming today. It really means a lot to us, and thank you, Deborah, for catching that for us. So we have done some late greetings, and I really want to thank all of our staff that are involved in planning and organizing the AGM. A lot of work happens behind the scenes leading up to the AGMs, as many of you know. So many of our staff are new and have never worked on an in-person AGM, so there's been a lot of lessons learned. We've heard a lot of feedback from you, our citizens, throughout the week and weekend, and we will work to implement some of this in time for our next AGM in Kamloops. And I really want to say my heartfelt thank you to all our staff. You know, all our staff are working so hard on this AGM, and even for our board members, our workday still continues on. We still get emails, we still have operations at MNBC to deal with, so it's just incredible. So thank you to all our staff. This is what happens when you are running ahead of schedule. We can add quite a few things in here. Jamie Keith, our Region 3 youth rep, just mentioned we're still looking for youth reps, regional youth reps for Region 4 and Region 7. So if anybody knows anybody or has family members that might like to put their name forward to be a regional youth rep, please do so. So you heard from myself, our board of directors, our CEO, and representatives from other governing members and our national president this weekend. It's unfortunate our national president couldn't spend the weekend with us, but there is an official opening in Alberta today of Métis Crossing, and that's something I wish I could have been at, but of course, here in MNBC is my priority, so I'm here today. I really want to say that over the years, you know, we always did have Manitoba and MNC at our AGAs, but it was wonderful to see a governing member, representative from each of our governing members here this weekend. It hasn't happened for a long time. And I really want to thank Dan Cardinal, the VP of Métis Nation Alberta. Stand up, Dan. And of course, his husband, Daryl, and for being with us for, yeah. And thank you for being with us for the entire weekend. We've had the opportunity to sit and chat, and he's going to take back a lot of the things that we're doing to his own board and to President Poitras. And he's going to be advocating for MNBC to have equal seats at the MNC table, and we're going to hold you to that. You have to watch what you say sometimes. We might hold you to it. But he's going to advocate. You know, I can't, you know, this isn't a guarantee, but he believes that we should have equal seats. So we thank you for your support. It means a lot to us. So as you can tell over the weekend and the greetings and the work that's happening, Métis Nation BC is finally getting the recognition that we all deserve and respect. All our citizens deserve and respect this recognition. We are truly on the cusp of a transformative time for our nation, and I believe in every single one of our board members, communities, community leaders, citizens, and staff, that we're all working together to make this happen collectively. It's not done by one person, it's done by us all. So in closing, I know some of you have flights and ferries to catch, and it is nice to be done a little bit early. So I just want to close once again by thank you. Thank you for showing up and participating. Thank you all for your respectful dialogue. Métis people and our generations from now will look back at meetings like these and understand that it's through this hard work and the democracy of our nation that we got to where we are going, and all of us working together. So I wish everyone safe travels home, and thank you again, and I can't wait till we're all together again. Thank you.
Left. We will have a closing prayer, and then I will ask for a motion to adjourn to next year's AGM. Before that, I was asked to make an announcement on behalf of Region 4. Winston Fayant passed away in August, so for those of you who knew Winston, you know, we wanted to pass along our condolences and pass that on to Winston's family. So Region 4 wanted to pass that along, and so I wanted to make sure that we included that. We are at the point of a closing prayer. We do have, unfortunately, we don't have Senator Gladue, but we do have Barb Hume, who's agreed to come up. So if you'd like to come up to the podium here to my right, that would be great.
Thank you all. And it is a great honor for me to be able to be amongst all of you and share with you our closing prayer. It's not something that I do often, but at the same time, I think it's something that is super important. And part of that, when I started to do prayers, what became a bit of a conversation because I was struggling was one of the other elders said, Barb, realize that it's a conversation that you're having with the Creator, and that don't try and do it in a churchly manner if that doesn't work for you. Do it from your heart and do it in the way that is comfortable to you. So at this time, I would like to say, Creator, thank you for the opportunity for each and every person to be in this room. Thank you for those families that support each and every person as they are here and do the work for the Métis people of British Columbia, and in turn for the Métis people throughout our homeland. Each and every person is important. Thank you, Creator, for allowing us to share words and wisdom. And I ask that each and every person not only hear those words, but listen to them, digest them, and take them away with the importance that they deserve. Creator, thank you for allowing the children to be in this room, because they are our future. And when we had the opportunity last evening to share a meal together, thank you for allowing those little ones to be there and help us realize how important our work is and that they truly are our future. Seeing those little girls dance would make any creator proud. And the other thing that I think is really important from that, each and every person that has participated, I say thank you, Creator, for allowing each person to share and be respectful, because that means that we can be so much more effective when respect, honor, humility, honesty, and truth are part of it. The other most important thing that I think needs to be shared, and that I ask each and every person as they go about their daily activities and within this room, to use that four-letter word in a most important way, and that is love. Love yourself, love your family, love your communities, and love all humankind. And also love all of the creatures of the sea, of the air, and of the sky, because they too are important to our livelihood. Thank you, Creator, for allowing us to be here together, and ask the Creator to ensure that each person on their way home goes home safely, comfortably, and with a good heart and love in their mind. Thank you.
All right, I'm looking for a mover, and look how fast he moved to get there. So I'm looking for a mover to adjourn us to next year's AGM, and I will turn the mic to, recognize the speaker to my left.
Hello? Patrick Harriet, I so move.
And I'll look for a seconder.
Steve Morrison, I second.
And I'm going to look for unanimous consent. Any opposed? All right, thank you, everyone. Meeting is adjourned.